What?
Taylor, we're not supposed to move them, right?
That's pretty hard to take like, in the midst of exams. Like, you know.
Here. Good story.
Ready to go. Yeah. All right.
Taylor, are you ready?
Yep. Taylor, can you keep 3 minutes for me on comments, please?
Yes.
Hello. For those watching tonight's meeting virtually, this meeting is available to live stream via the Park District website. All information about Park District meetings can be found at winpark.org under Park District Info tab, under the Park District Info tab by selecting Board Meetings and Videos. Public comments are accepted in person. A link to the video and audio will be posted immediately following this evening's meeting. To improve the sound while listening to the meeting, please turn up the volume on your computer and turn up the volume on the website. There is a slight picture delay when the video switches between camera views. The audio will remain on during this brief delay. The meeting packet for tonight's meeting is located on the website. For those attending tonight's meeting, the emergency exits are from the room are the door behind you or through the foyer. If you're predisposed to not hearing well, please ask our on-site staff for an assistive device. The board asks for your cooperation to maintain decorum. Personal remarks are not permitted, and interruptions should be limited to valid points of order or privilege. Please be considerate and refrain from interrupting board members and other speakers. We are a community coming together to discuss difficult issues in a civil and respectful fashion. Welcome to the December 18th, 2025 Winnetka Park District Board of Commissioners regular meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:01 and ask Saba to take a roll call for attendance.
Commissioner Root? Present.
Commissioner Rapp,
Here.
Commissioner Seaman,
Here.
Commissioner Kodo,
Here.
Commissioner Corley,
Here.
Commissioner Tyson,
Here.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Here.
All here.
Thank you, Saba. Commissioner Kodo has made a request to participate remotely for a portion of tonight's meeting. It is requested due to a qualifying event in section 4.26 of the Board Policy Manual, subsection 3, a family or other emergency. She'll be leaving the meeting in person at approximately 8:30 p.m. May I have a motion to approve Christina Kodo's request to participate remotely in a portion of tonight's board meeting as permitted under section 4.26 of the Board Policy Manual, remote attendance, and in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? No? All right, could you do a roll call, please, Saba?
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful, thank you. Can you please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're moving on to section 1.3, and Shannon, do you have some public announcements for us?
We do. So happy holidays from the Winnetka Park District. Hanukkah began this week, so happy Hanukkah for all of those who are celebrating. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to all as well. And please note that the Park District offices will be closed on Wednesday the 24th and Thursday the 25th, as well as Wednesday, December 31st and Thursday, January 1st in observance of Christmas and the New Year. Please join us for the annual Holiday Sing on December 24th from 6 to 6:30 p.m. at Village Green Park. And then the Park District is still accepting applications for the Golf Services Advisory Board. The first meeting will be held next month in January, and the application can be found on our website.
Thanks, Shannon. We're now moving on to section 1.4, approval of December 18, 2025 regular meeting agenda. Are there any requests for changes or additions to the agenda? No? All right, may I have a motion to approve the December 18, 2025 regular meeting agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we're moving on to section 2, public comment. This is your opportunity to address the board on any issue. When called upon, please come to the center position in front of the commissioners, stand at the podium, speak into the microphone, and state your name for the record. Please address your comments directly to the board. In accordance with public comment policy, with the public comment policy in the board policy manual as referenced in Public Access Counselor Opinion 2024 PAC 81900, please, each speaker is permitted up to 3 minutes to provide public comment after being recognized. Speakers may not combine, transfer, or yield their allotted time to others. If you prefer to submit your comments in writing this evening, you may do so by providing them to a member of the Park District staff. Do we have any members of the public who wish to make comment? Please step forward.
Good evening. Happy holidays to everyone. I just came from a menorah lighting in Northfield at Clarkson Park, and I was given the honor to actually be the one to light it. With the wind, it was a little challenging, so got here right at the nick of time to have public comment. So thank you. I'm hoping that the item that I brought up a couple meetings ago for the weather warning device at Northfield Park is something that makes the cut for the budget. I know I talked to, and I think I talked to Costa outside about the cost and about that, so I'm hoping that that makes the cut. Secondly, I'm wondering, for years, the park over there always was flooded in the wintertime when we actually had cold winters and we were actually make ice. So I'm just wondering if that's a plan for the future to actually have that area frozen again. I know in the past when they got snow, they would take a plow it to make the border, and then actually there's lighting that's already existing out there, and they would flood the park for the neighborhood kids to be able to skate. So, and I know with the way the weather and the world with global warming has not been very cooperative for doing that. So I don't know if that's something that, you know, you can look at and see what happens. And then, again, thank you for all your hard work. Happy holidays to everyone, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other members of the public who wish to make public comment? No? All right. Let's move on to section 3 of the agenda, the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to have an item added to or removed from the consent agenda? No? Without objection or request for the addition or removal of any specific item from the consent agenda for individual consideration, we will act on the following items with a single vote. Section 3.1, September 25, 2025, closed meeting minutes. Section 3.2, November 20, 2025, regular meeting minutes. Section 3.3, November 2025, closed meeting minutes. Section 3.4, November 2025, financial report. Section 3.5, 2026 appointments for the NSSRA Board of Directors. Section 3.6, ordinance number 2025-010, surplus equipment. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion on this? No? All right, let's do a roll call vote, Saba, please.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. As we move through tonight's agenda, I'd like to ask commissioners to keep comments to 3 minutes per item unless otherwise noted, with one opportunity to speak on each item. If there are matters that require additional follow-up from staff and cannot be addressed immediately, those items may be tabled by a majority of the board vote to a future meeting. It's important that we respect the time of our community, staff, and fellow commissioners while ensuring our discussions stay focused on board-level decisions that best serve our community. The first section that we're going to address is Section 4, Unfinished Business. Section 4.1, we will be discussing the November 2025 investigation reports. Before we begin discussion on this item, I want to outline how we will proceed to ensure decorum and fairness. We will conduct this discussion with respect for one another, our staff, and our public. I would like us to consider the release of the reports first, and then we can discuss content. First, in order to allow us to speak freely on the entirety of the reports, may I have a motion to, one, release the November 18, 2025 report titled Nizal/Root Investigation - Summary of Conclusions in its entirety, and two, waive the board's attorney-client privilege and release the December 3, 2025 report titled Nizal/Root Investigation - Findings and Conclusions, while redacting any identifiable information of Park District staff other than the identity of the complainant.
So moved.
Second.
All right, would we like to have discussion on release of the reports?
Thank you.
Oh,
You have to vote on that
Wait.
first, right?
I think we do discussion first.
We do discussion.
Yeah.
Normally, we do discussion.
Right,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we're gonna do
But we can
discussion.
vote and then do discussion.
Okay.
No, let's do discussion.
Okay,
Thank you.
discussion. This discussion is just on whether to release the
Right.
report.
Correct.
Right, yes.
And I just want to be clear on what the board is being asked to release to the public tonight. The investigator concluded that I did not harass the complainant, that I did not create a toxic work environment. I have 3 minutes.
Yeah, but we're talking about the release,
Yes,
we're
I
not getting
understand.
into
We're
a
not talking
statement.
about the
A
content.
I quite
conclusions.
understand, and you're taking my 3 minutes. Look, hear me out here, because I have been the subject of this investigation since October 9th. So hear me out, because I think when I get through, you'll understand what I'm saying, and I'd like to reset the time, please.
You could do that.
Okay. We started with, I didn't harass, I didn't cause a toxic work environment, and I didn't keep any individual from performing their responsibilities. I want you to know that I cooperated fully with this investigation. I did not publicly identify the complainant. There has been suggestions that I did not. In fact, I did not publicly identify, and I would not have publicly identified. So that is the matter that this board determined. I received no notice that the board intends to discipline me this evening, so I understand this is just a motion about public disclosure. And it is my opinion that if this board is considering releasing the investigator's full December 3rd report, and then her, I think it was November 18th, summary of conclusions, as you have previously recommended that it be limited to those conclusions, Counselor, then I think fairness requires that the public be given enough information to fully understand what they are seeing. Standing alone, the report reflects the investigator's narrative and selected findings, but it's not a full record. If the report is released, it's my opinion that the board needs to release the original complaint, and then they need to release the transcript of my 2 recorded interviews that consumed 2 hours and 20 minutes, and the investigator's underlying notes and work papers. Without these materials, the public receives only part of the story. Releasing the report without that context risks selective disclosure rather than true transparency. If the board's goal is real public understanding, then any release should include the full underlying record while continuing, well, I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting me make my statement.
All right. Can we, do we have any other comments regarding the release of the reports? No? All right. May I have a motion?
We do have a motion.
Can we do the roll call vote? I'm sorry, I'm just, no problem.
Commissioner Seaman,
I guess we need a motion to amend then.
I'd like to put my motion forth first.
Just to release.
Commissioner
Yes,
Seaman?
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes?
Commissioner Gibson,
Yes.
and
Thank
Commissioner
you,
Tyson.
Saba.
Yes.
Sorry.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Saba. The reports will be provided as released to the public upon request to the Park District. ED Nazal, can you please coordinate that? Okay. Now upon now I'll open up the floor to commissioners for comments and discussion on the content of the reports. When we discuss content, Each commissioner will have up to 3 minutes to make a statement or comment, with me speaking last. After all initial comments on content, each commissioner will have 1 minute to respond to the comments made, and again with me speaking last. For this 1 minute response, please only provide comments with new information to prevent repeating what's already been mentioned. This structure is intended to keep us focused and ensure that all commissioners have an equal opportunity to be heard. I do not intend to ask the board to take any action tonight other than to consider the release of the reports resulting from the investigation. No commissioner may cede, transfer, or share their time to another commissioner.
May I now make my motion?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I realize I made that.
I would like to move that in addition to the November 18th and December 13th, or December 3rd reports, that the original complaint be also released to the public, inclusive of all attachments, because it dealt with 4 emails over a 7-month period, and also the recordings of my interview with Attorney Marks. I doubt she will want to release her work papers, but I'd like to ask that that be done. And again, the intent here is to have full and fair and accurate disclosure of what this matter really is. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So, at this point, do we want to discuss this?
I have a question for Adam. Do we need input from Attorney Marks?
I'll tell you that ordinarily, attorney work, like the notes, the preliminary notes, the drafts, are incomplete thoughts, and the report itself is the only place where she has reconciled the inputs from various sources, from all the interviews she did, all the documents she reviewed, all the videos she watched. So that is her final consolidation of her opinion, and that's really the most accurate reflection of her thoughts. Her notes might be handwritten. Yeah, I don't know what her work style is, but it's very unconventional for an attorney to release their personal notes. I've never done that.
Thank you.
May I ask a question of Counselor? If a client waives attorney-client privilege and asks for those notes to be released, as I understand, the attorney may do so. Am I correct on that?
I mean, the client, the attorney-client privilege is owned by the client.
Correct, I understand that.
And so, I can't speak for what form her notes are in, so I don't know. I don't have enough information to tell you what form the notes are in or how they're producible, but the client does own the privilege.
And again, my concern is more not with the notes, but with the original complaint and attachments, as well as the recordings.
I will say that, as you know, Ms. Marks interviewed a number of different witnesses and did not record all the other interviews.
No, I believe she was very clear with me that our discussion was the only one in which there was mutual agreement to record. So I'm talking about a October 29th, 2-hour and 10-minute interview, and then as I recall, it's November 16th, and that was 20 minutes.
In any event, only Ms. Root has, the conversations with Ms. Root were recorded, the other witnesses' conversations were not. And so there's just not equality between all of them. So, anyway, it's up to you.
All right, does anyone have anything else for discussion?
I have a question. In the summary that has been made public,
So the hard copies I distributed are for the board.
okay,
If this Park District receives a FOIA request,
okay,
we will release the report with the witness name, with certain witness names redacted. But the hard copies that you received tonight are for your own custody.
So should someone FOIA the hard copy that we received tonight and then subsequently submits a FOIA for records related to the content, those would be public?
It depends on what they're asking for. The board has approved the release of the two reports you have in your hands. That's all that's been approved. The attorney's work product has not been approved for release. That still maintains attorney-client privilege. It's still attorney work product.
Counselor, would the complaint be foilable, seeing that it has been referenced?
It is a final document in the custody of the Park District, and it's been discussed and referenced by the head of the public body during a meeting. So it would be eligible for release subject to redaction.
Then what we're really talking about is recordings, and the only reason is I think it would be instructive to the community to see how the narrative of the December 3rd report is drastically different than the discussion and interview, particularly of November 18th. And that's why, because well, in my comments, I will speak further.
Do we have any other comments?
I'm against releasing the recording for the issue that Adam identified. It's not a parallel or fair playing field against all people who were interviewed. And so you're getting excess information from one person and no information from other people who were interviewed. And I think that gives a bias in terms of the information received. I'm also against releasing or requesting or waiving privilege on the attorney work product. I think this is her final product. The other materials are her drafts. We can change our mind and request that that be released after we, consider this further at the January meeting. I'm not closing the door on any of that. But I think right now there's a lot to digest in this particular pair of documents.
I'm also not comfortable with releasing the recordings. It would be a one-sided testimony. There were several other people who were interviewed, and they wouldn't be heard the same way. So I think that makes no sense in this instance. I also am not comfortable asking Ms. Marks to release her her notes and so forth. That is, in my view, highly unconventional for an attorney to be asked to do that, and I'm not comfortable doing that. It was written simply for her own notations. So that's my response with regard to your motion or my discussion. All right.
I'll just make one more
Okay.
comment on there. Yeah, I think the things that were in the recording that you feel were misrepresented in here, you can, restate those in your comments here in meeting. I think, for me, you were essentially exonerated in this report. The accusation was, I don't want to characterize exactly what it says, but it didn't find you, it didn't find the accusation fully, of harassment. But the thing that did stick out for me was the fact that the attorney has a whole section here on credibility and the difference between the stories told in one interview and yours. And for that reason, I think, I agree that there are people that had no reason to misrepresent their version of facts. And this third party that was hired to look into this states here, these are not my words, but this person states that she questioned your credibility in the report. So, given that, I would say that, to me, that's the difficult part of reading this. And, you can, I think, stick up for your side of the story that would have been in the recording. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I didn't come prepared tonight to argue this. I had no, typical of this whole process, there's been no notice given to me as to what would be discussed or what to be prepared for.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
No,
I'm not,
the
I
agenda
don't
just
want to
says
start an
that-
argument.
that-
I sent an email yesterday
These are my comments
to
on
all
whether to release
commissioners saying
the
that I would
recording.
be asking for a motion to release these items.
I agree. What I'm talking about is going through line item by line item and discussing the contents of these.
I was just giving my reasoning
materials.
for not releasing the recordings.
I was not prepared to do that tonight. One would think that leadership would have had the courtesy to let me know that, but that's okay.
I don't know that that's anything anyone's gonna do. All I'm asking.
Mr. Corley has started and.
Oh, I didn't mean to
will
start a
respond.
thing, and I
No,
apologize for that.
understand.
I was
Thank
giving my
you,
reasoning
Scott.
for not releasing the recordings.
All right, we need to.
Thank you, Scott.
I move to
Yeah.
call the question.
Sure.
Okay,
Do we have
so,
a second? I move to call the question. Do we have a second?
Well, we have
a vote now, we're at a vote.
a vote
now.
on
We've had a
the amendment,
discussion.
or
Right.
is that
To
what we're?
release the,
Right. Yes.
ask for release of the attorney-client work product and the recordings.
Right,
Right, okay, so,
So,
Saba, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Tyson,
This is a vote to amend.
this is
This is a vote to-
for a
This is a
further
new-
release of,
This is a new motion.
release of attorney-client work product and of recordings.
Well, most importantly, release of the original complaint, because without it,
I'm not in agreement, of all those three items, so no.
Okay.
Commissioner Kodo,
No.
Commissioner Corley,
No.
Commissioner Rapp,
No.
Commissioner Seaman,
no,
Commissioner Gibson,
No.
and Commissioner Root.
well, of course, it'll be yes.
The motion does not pass.
Thank you.
so now-
So I do want to give people the opportunity to discuss the reports. For initial comments, I'll start with you, Commissioner Root, and we'll move through the room. I will go last. And then, as I said, we'll have a 1-minute response period, and then we'll start in the opposite direction for a response.
Not knowing that we were going to do this evening, I actually prepared some comments as commissioner comments, and so I'm going to read those right now.
Okay? You have a 3-minute time period.
I will do my best.
Okay,
And
thank
read
you.
quickly. Since September 26, when I first received a copy of the harassment complaint, I've been treated as an outsider of this board, even though residents on April 1st reelected me to serve a second term. Commissioner Corley has very correctly identified the conclusions of the investigation, that I did not do the terrible things that I was alleged to have done. But despite that finding, my voice on this board has been silenced. Questions aimed at transparency and good governance that I delivered in emails to the complainant have been mischaracterized as accusations and policy violations. That should concern every resident in this community, because oversight and dissent are not misconduct. They're essential democratic functions of an elected board. Had I been allowed to participate in the October 9th closed session, I would have urged this board to slow down, to de-escalate, and let's talk this over.
Instead, an outside investigation was launched immediately by an attorney with HR management background, but absolutely no experience in handling disputes between an employee and an elected official. In my view, that decision was premature and it was unnecessary. The timing is also troubling. I received the complaint the day after our September 25th board meeting and after I had met with the complainant in person, a meeting where absolutely no concerns were raised by the complainant. Both board and personnel policies state that issues should first be addressed between parties before a complaint was filed. That never happened. The result, the taxpayers are going to pay for what I believe is going to be a costly investigation that leadership could well have avoided. I was initially denied access to the verbatim recording of the October 9th closed session. It took a formal request by me to the Attorney General's PAC and 4 weeks before I was finally allowed to hear it. From the outset, this process went beyond an actual complaint. The investigation materials that were delivered to the investigator included my April 25th, 2024 censure that certainly predated the complaint and quite actually the contents of the complaint. That expansion raises serious questions about neutrality. In a truly objective investigation, an elected official would have been treated as a colleague participating in fact-finding, not as a defendant presumed to have done something wrong. Throughout the investigation spanning 2 hours and 30 minutes, I was cross-examined and I definitely was the defendant on the stand. My credibility was questioned. This was not fact-finding. This was an effort to interrogate and to get me to change consistent responses. Most concerning were repeated questions about our residents. I was asked, did you speak with this person? Does this person talk to you?
You're over
When did
20.
I know I'm over, but I'm going to finish this because I am the focus of this and because you have not treated me with respect, you have not treated me fairly, so I will finish. And I'm almost done. The point is, this became an investigation far beyond the breadth of the complaint. It was an interrogation of the public who might come and have dissenting opinions. I was given lists of names, people I didn't even know. And I was asked, do you talk to
Okay,
these people?
we're done now. Your time is up.
I'm not done.
You are done. The time is up.
Using an employee,
Commissioner,
this
no.
is my final sentence. Using an employee harassment policy to discipline an elected official without due process, without notice, without the ability to correct inaccuracies in the report is a misuse of policy, and you are setting a very, very dangerous precedent. Now I am finished.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rath, would you like to make a comment?
I would like to hear what other people
We're
have
going
to
along,
say.
we're going along this way,
Of
and then
course
we're
you
gonna go
are.
this way.
Of course you
Yes,
are.
I am.
I'll go, I'll
We
go.
just have to go in
I'll
some
go.
order.
I'll go.
No, I
Okay.
I think we're all grown-ups here. Commissioner Root, when we receive a harassment claim, that's a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue. And this board acted in the proper manner, hiring an independent lawyer, well-regarded in this area. I would say the report speaks for itself. Am I allowed to read from the report?
Adam?
It's been released.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, what you're saying is exactly what was cited in this report. Additionally, Root does not seem to be able to reflect on her conduct or take ownership of its impact, which does not align with her obligation to work to learn how to do her job better under the policy, and signals a lack of willingness to grow from this experience. And you've just done it again tonight. There are 2 words for me tonight. I'm sorry. That you could say, show some contrition. So, serious issue. I thought it was handled very well. I appreciate the expediency.
of the lawyer to get the report back to us before year end. And my last comments are for Shannon. Listen, I support you wholly. I think you do a great job as executive director. I think we're fortunate to have you. I'm sure this has been terrible for you, not an easy decision for you to make an harassment claim, but it shows you how poorly treated that she felt she was by Commissioner Root. So, fully support you. Glad you're here. Those are the end of my comments.
I have two basic comments. One, you alone are responsible for your actions, Commissioner Root. Number two, this agency is filled with dedicated, exemplary staff. This community is filled with people who love this agency and work in a healthy and constructive way with this agency. This board has many members who are thoughtful and careful in how they execute their work. No one silences you. You speak at every commissioner comment. You are not deprived of your vote. You certainly feel free to send emails. I do not think that this is your finest moment. I agree with Commissioner Seaman. There's a path in every culture, in every belief system of transgression, recognition, investigation, and an ability to work your way back into a trusting relationship with other people. That path has been available to you for the entire time that you've been on this board. No one has seen any evidence that you're interested in exploring that path. That's it.
Commissioner Rapp, are you prepared to speak at this point?
A little louder.
I'm asking Commissioner Rapp to speak, sorry.
I can give a couple comments. First, thank you to E.G. Nizal for raising the areas of the concern to the board. It's unfortunate that it did need to be brought to the board in this way, and that we could not have worked a little bit more amicably and collectively without bringing it to this level. I think that that's unfortunate, but I think it's good to have issues out on the table because that's how they can get resolved. I'm sure that it took a lot of courage to come forward with your concerns. What I would say is in reviewing things, I just continue to go back to, being hard on the issues and soft on the people. Being very, very hard on the issues, but soft on the people, from former village manager Williams. And I think that that's a good mindset for us to have as we collectively move forward together as a board. Because, Commissioner Root was reelected on April 1st. We do need to work together amicably. The interests of our executive director, of our park district, of our community are not well served by animus, as shown in results, as shown in how we get along. So I hope that we can think critically about how we can get back to a better place as a result of this. Sometimes when things are brought up and they're ugly and uncomfortable, it provides a point to be able to move forward from, and I hope that's the case with this.
Sure, thanks. So Commissioner Root, you feel excluded and isolated and targeted, and obviously after we all speak, that's gonna be multiplied by 10, I know. And we are a board, and we are to act as a board. None of us, as far as my understanding goes, has any power individually. And I think the amount of interactions that were discussed in this report that were just you It's a lot. And, you know, as Commissioner Seaman said, the fact that it came to a point that it was causing distress for somebody else is a big deal. And I, you know, part of it is that you probably don't agree that it caused distress, that you're well within your right to do that. But this whole discussion isn't about, like, there was fact-finding in here, and there was a conclusion reached. But everything else is people's opinion. Like, what's my opinion of what you say and how you say it? What's this person's opinion of what you say and how you say it? What's the rest of the board's opinion? And it's just how people feel. And you can dispute it. Like, you can say that you never identified the person who made the complaint. And then, you know, you have your own quote that, okay, I'm not identifying anyone, I'm not saying a name, but a high-ranking, if, you know, there's only one high-ranking person. I find that, like, I'm not, like, claiming a fact one way or the other. I'm just saying I take that as being disingenuous. That's how I hear it. And, you know, I don't think that what I'm saying here is going to do anything to change how you talk about things in the future. It's going to, you know, I think we've had a good rapport so far. This is probably going to put a dent in that.
No, it won't.
Okay, good. But if it was me that got a, you know, if this was my name on this report, and everyone else, and I felt singled out, and I felt like the rest of the board was looking at me like, what are you doing? I would have some serious self-reflection. I would take a moment to look at me. It would make me extremely uncomfortable. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't be happy with it. But I would try to figure out why things were that way without assuming that people were out to get me. That's all.
Commissioner Tyson?
I'm glad we made the decision to release the reports because I think it gives individuals in our community an opportunity to read them and form their own opinion. My opinion specifically, as I look through it, yes, I agree with you. There are certain areas of the report where you've been exonerated. There are also areas of the report where they demonstrate a clear pattern of poor choices and poor behavior, in my opinion. And I think what troubles me most is the lack of remorse.
Thank you. I think it's really interesting that you are accusing me of not being respectful of you and having mishandled this. It is clear from the board policy manual, if you've read it, and legal counsel, that given your behaviors and E.D. Nizal's complaint concerning those behaviors, that it is a correct course of action to have undertaken the investigation. You've tried on several occasions to discredit the investigation, but it was initiated by this board with the utmost of care to ensure that the process was without reproach. The investigation was conducted by Ms. Marks, who is an experienced independent attorney who worked at her own direction, reviewing materials she deemed necessary and in interviewing those persons she deemed appropriate. She not only found, she did exonerate you of the harassment complaint. We could talk about the specifics of it. It was actually fairly technical, but she also found that you conducted yourself in a way that could foreseeably interfere with E.D. Nizal's ability to manage the Park District, and that you've acted inconsistently with portions of the board policy manual and the board's code of conduct. And that's just not all. She also found that in her interactions with you during the investigation, that you lacked credibility, and that you did not show, as others have mentioned, a willingness to take responsibility for your actions. And I want you to remember, she's independent. She's a third party. She has no vested interest in a particular outcome, and yet this is her finding. So I feel like it would be it would behoove you to consider the findings and maybe think about how you can alter the way you interact with staff and the board. All right. All right, now we're gonna go this way if anyone else wants to make a response to statements.
Nothing to add.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm good.
all right.
Nothing more here.
Good.
I have a couple more
Okay,
thoughts, just on, again, thinking about how we move forward. I know that some managers known to us do have an approach of, if you have a problem, can you come with a solution? I think that if you have a problem, can you come with a solution? And I think that as we move forward, I think that's a good question for everyone to be thinking about, both people who are directly involved, but also each of us on the board, because, we have other things that we want to get done.
yes.
It is before the holidays, we are together. We're supposed to be a more, joyful, and most of the things that we do are joyful, but I would say that I do not particularly find this joyful. I expect everyone sitting around the table does not find this joyful, and I hope that we can find a path back to having our Park District experience be a little bit more joyful for everyone.
I guess I'd like to hear from the executive director. In the course of her tenure, I have had exactly 6 meetings, actual meetings with the executive director. 5 of them have been with other staff present, and my only meeting with the executive director, when it was just the 2 of us, was September 25th. The allegations of the complaint deal with 5 emails that were sent over a 7-month period. And when I make suggestions, as I did in those emails, those suggestions are one commissioner making a suggestion for improved governance of the district. The executive director has every right to refuse to give any credibility to them. Again, my largest problem with Executive Director Nizal is the fact that she will not talk to me, and that you will not sit down and actually meet with me and talk things through. I was an incredible supporter of you when you came, and I still am. I think that you do an excellent job in many areas, but I am very puzzled why you will not sit and have a dialogue with me.
All right.
And to improve the functioning of this board, I really think that needs to happen.
Okay, thank you. First of all, Commissioner Rapp, I very much appreciate your sentiment, and I agree. I would like to figure out a way to move forward and have a more cohesive board. But first, I do have to, I think sometimes we have to go, as someone else has said here, we have to go through some ugliness. And I'm gonna say, you are completely glossing over the tenor of your writing. And you have accused E.D. Nizal of having, in a way that you could have written a totally different memo. You sent a memo, and I have it, I could read it, but I'm not going to, where you basically accused her of purposely failing to include language that you were looking to have been included, and that the board approved to be included. And rather than having a demand-style letter and being highly accusatory, you could have just said to her, I've looked at the comprehensive master plan, the language that the board approved is missing. Could you have it incorporated and circulate the plan? But that's not what you did. You accused her of all sorts of misdeeds. So don't gloss over how you stated it.
Let's go to the facts of that, okay?
You've had your minute.
No, wait a minute.
Point of order.
You have
This is
alleged
not your time.
facts,
Point of order,
but
this
you
is not your
won't let
time.
me discuss
Point
the
of order.
facts. Again, silencing a public
This is not your
official's
time.
speech. This is a constitutional issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not all in there, and that's why I wanted the transcripts to be released and the complaint.
All right,
Next item.
let's move on to tentative fiscal year budget. Okay, now, at this point, we're moving on to section 4.2, tentative fiscal year 2026 annual budget. Mr. Crocker.
Thank you, Commissioner. Beginning in September of this year, the staff, made a series of presentations to the board and to the public regarding our request for funding for 2026. We received a significant amount of insightful feedback from the board that we took to heart. We went back and trimmed the budget where we could to be as fiscally responsible as we possibly could. We believe we have put together a solid, workable budget that meets our immediate needs and helps build a clear path towards the future. What we are presenting here tonight is that budget and appropriation, or at least a budget anyway, for your consideration and hopefully approval.
Okay.
And at this point, I'm open to any questions you might have.
All right, first of all, I want to distinguish this action from an item that's immediately following it. The action of the board here is being asked to approve, is being asked to approve in section 4.2 is to improve the internal operating budget for the Park District. Essentially the business plan for next fiscal year. This is distinguished from the next item, which is going to be the budget and appropriation ordinance, for which there is a public hearing scheduled. Anyhow, I don't know, can I request a motion to approve the tentative fiscal year 2026 annual budget as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on that?
Thank you, Jim. I know it's a lot of work. Staff, Shannon,
Yeah.
A lot of back
so
and
thank
forth.
you very much.
Do we have any discussion? Yes.
I'll echo that. Thank you. Thank you for responding to further questions this week. I know it took a lot, but I appreciated it.
You have questions?
Yes. I don't have any now due to the diligence that was applied previously. So thank you.
All right. So we have that seconded. We've had the discussion. It's a roll call vote. Please,
Commissioner Koto,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gibson.
yes.
Motion passes.
Before we proceed, I realize that I mistakenly skipped over an item, and so I do want to revisit our prior section and give Executive Nizal an opportunity to add to the discussion.
Thank you, President Gibson. In regards to the investigation, I'd just like to say that I appreciate the board's handling of the matter. I know it's not easy or a comfortable process. And I also want to just assure the board that my focus remains on supporting our team and continuing the work that we do for the community. Thanks.
Thanks, thank you. All right. We are going to now move on to the public hearing on the tentative fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance. This is a legal document which needs to be approved by the end of the first quarter of the fiscal year. It's based on the budget, but it ordinarily includes additional authority to address unforeseen contingencies. Jim, would you like to?
Thank you again. The budget and appropriation ordinance is a more thorough document than the tentative budget approved a moment ago. As you pointed out, this also accounts for unexpected contingencies, which is why the appropriation is larger than the budget itself, right? If we have to exceed the budget, we're allowed to exceed it by that percentage, which is built into the appropriation. And that's what differentiates it from the previous document. This document, the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance, will be posted on the Park District's website. We will also have a hard copy available in the lobby for people to view over the next 30 days. And then we'll bring it back to the board at the meeting in January for the board's approval.
President Gibson, I want to make sure that you have a motion to go into the public hearing
Oh,
to discuss
yes,
it.
I was gonna ask for a motion to go into the public hearing regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and this is a voice vote in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we're now in a public hearing regarding the ordinance 2025 of the fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance at 6:55. For the record, the fiscal year 2026 budget was reviewed and discussed at public board meetings in October, November, and December 2025. The proposed fiscal year 2026 budget has been made available, as Mr. Crocker just said, at the Park District's website for public review for more than 30 days. No written comments or questions regarding the proposed budget were received during that time. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Winnetka Talk on December 11, 2025, and posted on the district's website in accordance with statutory notice requirements. The tentative fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance has been made available for public inspection and will remain so for 30 years prior to the 30 days prior to the final action in accordance with Park District Code. At this time, I will open the floor for public comments regarding the fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance. Do we have anyone who wishes to make comment? All right, seeing no comments, may I have a motion to close the public hearing regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, now we're back into open session of the regular meeting at, very good, 6:56. Staff will return to the board at its January 22, 2026 meeting for consideration of the final adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget and appropriation ordinance. All right. At this point, we're going to move to Section 6, Unfinished Business, 6.1, Elder Lane and Centennial Park and Beach Project Update, and we will hear from Mr. Costa.
Thank you, President Gibson. At this time, there is an update included in the packet that reviews the current standings of the Elder Lane and Centennial Beach Park project. Right now, we are still looking for further discussion, which will be addressed on item 6.2 for the board to consider the pending request for qualifications for a engineering firm. Additionally to that, staff has continued our conversations with the village as it relates to both the Elder Lane discharge project and the securing of a structural engineer for review. Unfortunately, at this time, the request that went out by the village of Winnetka did not yield any participants. We think it was a timing issue in regards to that kind of work. Village staff has reached back out to the people who did show interest in that and will report back with findings from that and look to re-engage for a structural engineer come springtime. Additional to that, we are still working through the Dog Beach request for the fencing. We have a update in regards to the last round of discussion through our request through community development. At this point, we are looking to secure dates for January and February to start through the special use permit process in regards to the public forum. We'll put some information out. I don't have those dates at my fingertips, but we'll circle back with the board with those dates certain. I think, Shannon, did you already, I believe, sent out that email?
Yes.
So I think the board already has those dates. And we'll get that information out on our website as well for the public to know as well. Through that process, the village staff will go through their normal process for advertising those meetings as they come up, but we are continuing to work through that objective. The other item, real quick, cost to date for 2025, the project has incurred $120,737.30 for that project to date. We aren't really anticipating much additional fees at this time, just any small legal fees or working fees, but that should be pretty close to the total for the end of the 2025 year. If there's any additional questions that the board has, love to answer those for you this evening.
Costa, I have those dates. The first hearing is on January 28th, and that's the Village Plan Commission meeting. Following that is the February 9th ZBA meeting. Following that, on February 19th, is the Design Review Board meeting.
Just a point that if there is not a quorum, those meeting dates could potentially change, but those are the ones that we've been instructed currently by the village staff. All right. Any other questions?
This is for the temporary dog beach fence.
This is for the dog beach fencing, yes.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about where we are with GZA and everything? Okay. I thought you mentioned. All right. So,
6.2, right, 6.2.
yes, okay, could you move on to 6.2 then, if there are no further questions? Sorry.
No problem. For unfinished business, agenda item 6.2, Elder Lane and Centennial Park and Beach Project request for qualifications update. Currently, the park board did request to table the discussion till a date certain. We brought that back this evening for further consideration by the park board. There is no additional information to add in regards to the project. At this time, we are looking for clarification from the board on how they would like staff to proceed on this matter. I'll turn it back to the board for review.
Okay, now, does anyone have any questions regarding the status of GZA? Commissioner Root, you look like you do.
Not so much GCA, but whether there's been any new developments with respect to the exchange agreement.
Oh.
And the reason I ask that is because it kind of impacts how I feel about hiring GCA, so.
I've not heard of anything. Anyone?
There's not been any discussion on that.
No.
So there's been no development at all?
No.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
I think my comments are the same from the last meeting, that, well, we're not really sure what we're gonna do. We got a lot more discussions with the village. Thank you, Shannon. $400,000 is a lot of money, especially when, well, we don't know what we're gonna do. So, I think it's, to drag it out, is probably a little disrespectful to GZA. It's not fair, is my view. So, I would suggest that we no longer table it and vote not to engage. My view.
Okay, does anyone else have anything they'd like to discuss on this? Yes.
Thank them for their submission, thank them for their time. If we do come back to them at some point in the future, I would strongly recommend that they prepare. It would have been very simple to have looked at the final ZBA hearing and to look at the final Plan Commission hearing and understand and target what the village ordinances were, what the village de minimis request was, and tailor that to the presentation that was given to us. That's it. I agree. We should not engage them. We're not ready to really go forward.
Anyone else? All right, well, I mean, I do appreciate that they put their proposal forward, and we have tabled it a couple times. And I just think that from a cost consideration standpoint and the timing, that we're not presently aligned to engage them. And I agree that I don't really want to table it again. And hold them in limbo. And so, I would hope that once we gain clarity and maybe get some idea about the expenses and so forth, that, GZA might consider submitting another proposal when it's a better time for the district. But I'd like to make a motion to reject the proposal from GZA, Geo Environmental Inc., and to close the current RFP process for engineering services for the Elder Centennial projects.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Do we want some discussion on that? I mean, we sort of already had it, but.
We're all looking at you.
You look pensive.
So we've, just procedurally, this is a question for Edie Nassau, so we've closed the RFP. You know, will we be at some point issuing another, like, we can't move forward without a lead engineer. So I'm just trying to reconcile, you know, saying no to the one proposal that we got, and then what is the path to move forward at all?
I would agree with some of the comments that have already been made in regards to where is our alignment right now in how that works with the current scope, and looking at it from the point of view of having those conversations with the village right now. So I started having good conversations with the village manager on what our next steps forward, what those things might look like, and hopefully with those conversations, we'll be able to get a better idea of what our path forward could look like, and that way maybe when we're able to have a better idea on that, we can re-engage in an RFP process that is maybe more restricted in scope, that really looks better at those cost considerations for what we're actually looking to do, rather than us throwing everything at the wall right now and hoping for the best.
Thank you.
Of course.
I guess we're ready for a roll call vote.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's no problem. Just one comment though. We are rejecting this proposal, but I think it's more like we're just letting them know that we're not doing it right now.
Right.
And yeah, would re-engage with them later with a new RFP. Like, we gotta find out what we're doing with my opinion, we have to find out what we're doing with the exchange agreement, all this stuff. We're gonna have the beaches open. It's gonna take a while. So not a rejection of GZA, but
Right.
just we're not ready, so we're not gonna keep you on the hook for now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well said.
And following through with Commissioner Corley, maybe even a thank you to GZA for submitting
Yeah,
a proposal.
yeah.
And if someone else said it, I'm sorry I didn't hear it, Commissioner Cotto. But, no, seeing that they were the only one brave enough to come to the table
Yeah, right.
At this time.
at this time. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So,
Okay. Commissioner Rapp?
Can you just restate
Yeah.
the motion? Since it's one person, make sure
yeah, but there's been a lot of discussion.
The
Okay,
motion.
I have a motion to reject the proposal from GZA Environmental Inc. Enclose the current RFP process for engineering services for Elder and Centennial projects.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotto?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
And Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. All right. We are moving on to section 6.3, the policy manual update. Policy 5.04, and Edie Nazal will be addressing this.
Yes, so policy 5.04 is advisory boards. Based on our last meeting where we discussed the Golf Services Advisory Board and needing more information on terms and conduct and what they're going to be going over, the composition, those types of things, we looked at the advisory board's policy and looked at it not just from a golf services advisory board lens, but from any advisory board's lens, and what could the board potentially put in place for any advisory board that the board would like to initiate. So this goes over how advisory boards are established, their composition, term lengths and term limits, appointment and eligibility, meeting requirements, responsibilities and scope, the limitations of authority, attendance, removal of appointees, conflict of interest and code of conduct, reporting requirements, and sunset and review. And I will answer any questions that the board may have on this policy update.
Thank you for persevering with the policy updates.
You're very welcome.
5.04, only a few more.
Only a few more. I'm gonna get to, hey, with next week being slow in the office, I'm gonna get to some of them.
Okay.
I'll just say thank you for such a thorough job and really, producing this in a very timely manner to kick off the advisory committee next month. So that's a good thing. Hopefully, a few more applications will roll in, but I know that there has been more effort on that, so we appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. Do we have any other comments? All right, may I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-12-18-01 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's a roll call vote, so.
Okay. Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to section 6.4, Park Board Commissioner Appointment to the Golf Services Advisory Board. And Shannon, did you want to talk about this?
So I'm pretty much going to throw it right back
Okay.
to you.
All right,
But
got it.
this is, again, based on conversation with the last board meeting where we talked about the Golf Services Advisory Board, and now with your past approved new policy update, you can appoint 1 or 2 commissioners to the Golf Services Advisory Board. Their first meeting is scheduled for January 6th. And
Okay.
currently, we have 3 resident appointees.
Wonderful. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Commissioner Tyson and Commissioner Corley to the Golf Services Advisory Board.
So moved.
Good luck.
Don't look so happy.
Second.
Right.
Second.
All right, and Saba, that's a roll call vote.
Okay. Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
still have to vote, Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
and
Yes,
Commissioner
thank you.
Gibson.
Yes,
And the motion passes.
thank you. We will now move on to new business, and section 7.1, we will be discussing the parking license agreement with New Trier High School, and Shannon, that's you.
So this agreement, we have had an agreement with New Trier High School to utilize parking at Elder for quite some time. We haven't had a written agreement for that usage. Previously, they had been paying $27,000 a year for the approximately 60 parking spaces that they are using at Elder Lane for student parking. In the new agreement, the rate has increased to $31,500 for this year. This has already been approved by New Trier High School's board, and it is now in front of our board for mutual approval of that agreement.
Okay.
And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have questions regarding the New Trier agreement? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the license agreement with New Trier High School as presented and authorize myself, board president, to execute the agreement?
So moved.
Second.
All right. I guess I already asked for discussion and people said no, so should we move to a roll call vote?
I'd just say thank you for negotiating the terms of that
Yeah.
agreement. It was stale, and now it's been updated, so thank
Sir,
you.
you're welcome. Okay. Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. We're now moving on to section 7.2, and Elisa is going to make a presentation on several agreements that we have with various parties.
I am bringing forward
3 different agreements tonight. We will start with the three-step sports. These 3 agreements all expire at the end of this calendar year, which is why they are in front of you tonight. So the first agreement is with Three-Step Sports, which is formerly known as Sports Made Personal. This is the organization that rents our fields and has been a renter and a partner of the Park District since 2009. As I mentioned, their agreement expires at the end of this calendar year. This draft agreement in front of you is a 1-year agreement with the opportunity to renew for 2 one-year terms. So a total of potentially 3 years. They are not considered an affiliate. They are solely a renter, and they will pay the board-approved rental rates that were approved during the budget process. Any specific questions regarding this agreement?
Any risk to a 1-year agreement? I mean, as we all have learned during the budget process, we need to run as much revenue with respect, of course, the balance for residents and all skill levels. We need the revenue. Is a 1-year agreement, is that standard? Is it what they wanted? Is it what we wanted? I know there's the option that I get 3-year agreement. We do a lot of 3-year agreements.
No, typically, we will do 1-year agreements with options to renew. That gives as much flexibility for both parties,
Okay.
depending on situations. And that's typical
Okay.
for our usage and for rental agreements to do a 1-year, and then having those options to renew gives it the feel of a longer agreement, but still having it as 1-year terms.
I had sent a question about the facility use and the identification of the facilities. And I had concerns about the naming of the specific facilities in the agreement instead of referencing our board-approved policy of outdoor athletic fields available to rent. They're not consistent, so I'm just wondering if you can talk about that, because personally I would like to see them, like, agreements with outside third parties aligned with our board-approved policies.
I think she's referring to Board Policy 1703, which are the fields that are eligible for rent. As Shannon is going through the policy manual with the team, that has been a policy that has not been updated yet. It will be. And so right now, for this agreement, we listed out the specific fields that are available for them to rent, and then you will see 1703 coming through for approval at a later date, is my current answer.
Okay, I mean, I personally would prefer to see it the other way around. I would prefer to see the agreement reference our policy and then see the policy brought forward and changed, as opposed to having an agreement that's inconsistent.
That's one reason why it's only a year.
But I just,
So I am curious to know how much of a disparity is there between the two?
I believe it's one park.
One park, we listed Corwin Park as a rentable option, and Corwin Park is currently not listed. Northfield Park, sorry.
Northfield, yep.
We listed Northfield Park, and Northfield Park is currently not listed in 1703 as a rentable park.
ask a couple of questions.
Yeah, of course.
So Adam, I know that there was a recent court decision about, like, the designation of use of certain fields for things. And so, does it increase our risk if we are putting kids on a field that we have not designated as an athletic field available to rent?
All of our play fields are recreational property as opposed to just general real estate. And so there's a higher level of immunity for the park district on recreational property. So whether or not it's listed in the policy as being designated for rental or not, it's intended to be used for parks and recreation purposes, whether it's for our own programs or affiliates or contractual parties. It's being used for the purpose it's intended to be used for. And I don't think it raises a higher risk of liability.
Okay, even though we haven't designated it as an athletic field as the intended use for Northfield Park?
Yes.
Okay, even with the tree stump case?
I know the case you're talking about.
Okay.
Involving Gurney. That I hesitate to give you too broad of a generalization, but it's almost like the facts of that case are so bizarre that it kind of is limited to the facts of the case.
Okay. I will tell you, and this will just confirm how crazy I am, but when I drive by parks, like multiple times a day, I drive by 2 parks that do have tree stumps, that we do have athletic activity, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then when I saw that, I thought, okay, this is nuts. But, okay, thanks for confirming that. The other question I have is about Nick Corwin, and is it our determination that it can be used for lacrosse, or is it, because the special use documents specifically refer to it as a soccer field?
I'm not sure who you're addressing the question to.
I'm not sure who I am either. I was addressing it to you, but I don't know, like Shannon, I know had said, yes, the field can be used, and it wasn't clear to me if the answer was, yes, it can be used because it's a flat grass field with goals, or that was more qualified with, yes, and it's not restricted to soccer.
I don't view it as being restricted to soccer. I believe that previously it was considered solely soccer because that's what AYSO was specifically requesting of that location. And that was their only location that they were using. And now they've expanded to utilizing other areas as well. So being able to use that location for other activities, other sports activities, to compensate for what they want to use at other facilities like the play field here, it made sense to not restrict it to just soccer.
Okay.
Some of the reasoning around that was for additional revenue, so AYSO is typically there 4 to 6, and then it is not rented out beyond that. So we were just trying to make more use of some of our fields.
Of Nick Corwin
Not
specifically.
overusing, but just making more use.
Okay. Okay, so is it appropriate now for me, I mean, I would really like to see the agreement referencing the policy, and then see the policy come back in like January to reflect the field so that it's aligned? Is now the time to make the
I'm not
motion to
sure. Let
amend
me,
that?
I have a question on that.
Okay,
Because I
okay.
don't know. This agreement needs to be in place by year end, doesn't it?
Well, it expires year end, but they do not have plans to use the fields right now in the middle of winter, so.
And do you have any concerns with delaying the execution of it?
I don't believe so. If we could bring it back in January.
I don't know that we need to, sorry.
You've suggested wording
I
just to
don't
reference the
know.
policy.
I don't know that we need to delay the execution. If we refer to policy 17.03, and then we bring back 1703 in January.
Perfect.
It
I
will
think
be
that's
tied
fine.
to the, it will be
Because they're
tied
not
to
gonna
the
be using that
policy.
field presently. I see your point.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
All
then,
right.
like, I mean, to me personally, I don't feel like it's controversial to add
Right.
Northfield Park to the policy. I just,
It's definitely not, and they're not using any fields right now, so that makes sense. I agree.
okay.
So, on page 3, under section 2, paragraph 1,
Yeah,
if I can suggest from your comments, you would say 3SS may request the use of the facilities referred to in Board Policy Manual, Policy 17.03.
Exhibit A, make that Exhibit A, and Winnetka School District 36 indoor gyms, because that, 1703 only is the outdoor athletic fields, and then the school facilities are not covered in that.
Are we programming for gyms for non-park district activities? No.
Typically, no. We have that in
I
there
asked that.
just in case.
Okay. Sorry, I was.
All right. So that sounds like a resolution.
Adam, would you read your suggested wording again?
Yeah, it's on page 3 of the agreement,
Mhm.
section 2, paragraph 1. 3SS may request use of the facilities described in Board Policy Manual Policy 17.03 and Winnetka School District 36 indoor gymnasiums. Facility requests do not guarantee availability.
If I make that Exhibit A, 1703, it will change the exhibit
Make it
letter.
the last exhibit, so you don't change the other exhibits.
Is this gonna present any problem with going back to, do you feel like you have to go back to? No? Okay. All right.
So I guess that's a policy update I'm working on next week.
I guess so. You were looking for something.
Top of the list.
It's easy and it's short.
All right.
We have to vote on these separately, correct?
Pardon
We
me?
have to vote on each of these?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, may I have a motion to approve the agreement with Three Step Sports as amended?
Yes. So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right. And I think we've kind of discussed it, so can we move to roll call vote, please?
Can I have Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Wonderful.
The second agreement that I am bringing tonight is the New Trier Hockey Club affiliate agreement. They have, their original agreement expired May 31st. We have brought 2 different amendments to the board throughout this calendar year to extend their expiration. And this agreement is now expiring at the end of this calendar year, December 31st. The reason for the amendments were mainly around us revising the affiliate policy, Board Policy 8.08. But now that that has been approved, we drafted an official affiliate agreement template that all affiliates will now be following, referring the affiliates to the policy 8.08. So this New Trier agreement is also a 1-year agreement with 2 renewal options. And so I am bringing that to you tonight. This one, I would ask that it could be approved because they do use the ice right away in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is their high season.
All right, does anyone have any questions or comments regarding this contract?
No, just thank you, because I know that it was a lot of work to revise the policy and then work with the affiliates, and I'm glad that, like, it's all coming together as expected, so it's
Until next
great.
year. But thank you.
I should add that they did meet all the standards and
Yeah, no,
the
that's
criteria
great.
for
No,
the
great.
affiliate
Yeah.
status.
Fantastic.
All right, so I think I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the New Trier Hockey Club affiliate agreement and to authorize the executive director to execute that agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And Saba, that's a roll call vote?
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Number 3. AYSO Region 425 is the Winnetka Park District's soccer affiliate. We have been a partner with AYSO since around 1980. So they are a long-standing partner and affiliate. They have, since the Corwin Fields were refinished, we have been doing one-year agreements with them, or called memo of understandings with them. But again, since we have our new affiliate agreement template, we are using that, which refers them all back to the board policy 8.08. They have submitted all of their affiliate documentation. So this one also is effective January 1st. It is a one-year agreement with 2-year renewal options.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I feel like we've discussed a lot of these affiliate agreements as we worked through the new affiliate policy, so it's
Yeah.
not that we don't have any questions, it's just that the issues have been sort of aired out, so.
Exactly.
I'm in favor of moving to a vote.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the American Youth Soccer Organization Region 425 affiliate agreement and to authorize the executive director to execute that agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's a roll call vote, Saba?
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, that is a lot of work, and they look pretty. All right, before we get into a discussion on, we're gonna now move to section 7.5, the executive director evaluation process. And before we get into a discussion on the topic, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Tyson, who undertook this process last year, to give us an overview.
Okay. For those of you who participated in the process last year, it's going to be very similar. An evaluation form's been created, which will allow each commissioner to rate how well our executive director has performed against goals and objectives agreed to by the board for the 2025-2026 contract period. SABA has the evaluation packets, which include a printout of the evaluation form, as well as an envelope that will be used to return the evaluation to SABA. Each envelope has a letter under the flap, A through G, which will be used to preserve anonymity and confirm receipt of responses from all 7 commissioners. Before leaving tonight, please randomly select one of the packets and take it with you. And if you're leaving early, please randomly select the packet and take it with you. Tomorrow you will receive an email from SABA which includes a soft copy of the evaluation form and detailed instructions and timeframes, which I'll mention tonight, but I'll reiterate those. The soft copy should then be used to type in your feedback, print, and place in the sealed envelope and return to SABA. Completed commissioner evaluations are due back to SABA by 5 p.m. on Monday, January 12th, and that will be included in the email as well. I will pick up the sealed packets from SABA. Scott and I are going to work together on consolidating all the information, which if you remember from last year, it involved averaging the evaluation scores as well, including all comments verbatim as they're written in the final evaluation, summary evaluation form. And then the summary evaluation will be discussed during our January 22nd board meeting during closed session. So once again, be on the lookout for an email tomorrow, which will include your soft copy. Since you can type into that, it'll preserve anonymity. Nobody's handwriting will be there. We can just use typed font. And Scott and I will have fun consolidating everything.
Thank you. Sorry for the phone interruption. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Tyson?
Of course I do. Having not seen the packet, like, I know this year, for the first time, we publicly approved goals, and, which was good, that was progress. And I'm just wondering, is the evaluation criteria strictly on those goals, because last year we did not approve goals, so we had also considered the executive
Components of the
director
contract. Yeah.
components of the contract.
Yeah.
And reading the contract, it seems like we can consider both, because I feel like the goal objectives are like a sub, you know, I mean, they're a large part, but there are other responsibilities in which people have done good, you know, good things that are not included necessarily in the, you know, goals that we approved. So that was one question, is just, you know, is there a way to capture that? The other one is that, you know, I observed that Commissioner Cotto was participating in a panel with the IAPD, with Barry Dunn, to talk about the board's role in executive evaluation. And it seems like a focus of the panel is involving a structured approach, which we definitely have, but also incorporating, you know, some form of staff feedback. So I'm just wondering how our process could or should incorporate that. You know, it may be late for this go round, you know, what can we be doing prospectively to consider? But I do think that's an important component of how things are working for us to reflect on and provide feedback on.
Yeah, so that has not yet been fully drafted. That will be my vacation project.
Okay.
The PowerPoint presentation for the IAPD, together with the people from Barry Dunn. I simply described our process, and they have other processes from other park districts that they will be including, number one. Number two, what we did last year was encourage everyone in the comments section to add comments that they felt were pertinent to the goal or to ancillary goals.
Okay.
Okay, and then I think you had a statement that you were gonna ask people to come to the January meeting for close to talk about what we should be doing looking forward.
Yeah, I think we have to, that has to be prospective if there's gonna be a discussion on other components, because we have to complete we have to start the process now, so it'll have to be the going forward
So, right,
discussion.
so anything that you wanna include for this year that's not specifically addressed in the goals, feel free to put it in the comments,
Okay.
because that's valuable. And then secondly, anything that you wanna put in the goals or objectives for next year, you should bring to the January 22nd meeting to discuss and close, and then we can have that discussion together and close.
I really hope this will get easier when we have our strategic plan,
I-
goals and you know, I think
Right.
it should, right?
Look, we've been on time for an executive director evaluation. This will be 3 years in a row.
Oh, I know, that's
Yeah.
good. That's a happy, I mean, like, we have had significant progress. And
Yes.
I'm assuming at some point before
Yes.
the 12th, Edie, you'll give us your view of.
I'll do a
You'll help
self-
us?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
I'll give based on the goals and objectives that were approved by the board at the beginning of the year, I will provide my feedback based on those.
Okay. See, I just feel like that might be selling a little bit short. So like I went back in preparation for this meeting, for example, and looked at the annual report that came out last year in January. And so like there were a lot of things on that annual report, which we will presumably have on, you know, the coming year's annual report that, you know, are good to.
Yeah, we're working on our annual
Reference.
report, the district's
no.
annual report currently.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, no, I just feel like those are, like, there are a lot of accomplishments there
Yes.
that I would like to
Yep.
include and
Acknowledge.
highlight, so.
Sure.
Thank you, Jeff.
And I also wanted to thank Saba for
Saba.
helping me pull everything together for tonight.
Thank you, Saba.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, do we have any other comments or
I just want to
discussion points?
thank Commissioner Tyson. Last year, I was stranded, and he actually came and picked up my packet, so it would be delivered on time, and I very much appreciated that. I want to support Commissioner Rapp's comments about having, as we think about this, the ability of staff to also be involved in this process and evaluation. I think that's very important because we may be somewhat insulated and not know. And so I think staff's ability to provide input would be a positive. Thank you.
Okay. May I have a motion to direct the board to utilize the prior year's executive director evaluation framework and timeline and to designate Commissioners Tyson and Corley to coordinate the distribution, collection, and summary of commissioner input for review by the full board at the January 2022, January 2026 meeting. It's like a tongue twister.
Is the date when we need to have our stuff submitted in your motion?
No, it's just, we have to have it done by the 12th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and is that a roll call vote?
I think we'll just do one.
Okay, all right.
Better safe.
We
And it's air on this side.
Yep.
Commissioner Koto,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Very good. We're now moving on to section 7.6, where we will hear a legal report on public access counselor opinions from Mr. Simon.
Thank you. So, you guys recall that we had a closed session discussion on October 9th. As a result of the closed session discussion that the board had on October 9th, there were 3 separate requests for review submitted to the public access counselor, submitted by Mr. Winnichenko, Ms. Stevens, and Commissioner Root. The complaints alleged that the Park District went into closed session to discuss the merits of the complaint, to discuss the performance of an elected official, and furthermore also complained that excluding an elected official from closed session violated the Open Meetings Act. The end result is that the public access counselor found that the Park District did not violate the Open Meetings Act. If you'll indulge me, I'll let you know what the public access counselor opined. The office's confidential review of the verbatim closed session recording and the board's complete response confirmed that the board's discussions were confined to the appointment of outside legal counsel. Although the board identified the reasons for seeking to appoint an attorney, which may relate to an elected official, those reasons were integral to assessing the qualifications of the attorney to provide the legal services that the board wanted to hire an attorney to perform. The board did not substantively discuss the reasons or the board member. Instead, the discussion focused on the merits and qualifications of the attorney that the board considered appointing. Accordingly, the entirety of the discussion, including the brief references to the reasons for seeking to hire an attorney, fell within the scope of Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. So that went to the nature of the discussion in closed session. And with respect to the complaint that excluding a board member from closed session violated the law, the public access counselor said, with respect to the allegation that the board violated OMA by improperly excluding a commissioner from closed session, OMA provides various exceptions that permit public bodies to enter closed session and sets forth procedures for entering closed session. But the Act does not guarantee members of public bodies the right to attend all closed sessions or address when access may be restricted. No provision of OMA grants a member of the public body an inviolable right to participate in every closed session discussion, regardless of the circumstances. And there's a citation to an earlier opinion from 2022. So those were the holdings the public access counselor made in response to this series of complaints. Ultimately, we did not violate the law.
Thank you.
Just had a question. Do you have a copy of the earlier citation from 2022?
Yeah.
Okay, I would be curious at some
I
point.
mean, I don't have a copy of the opinion, but I can give you the citation that.
No, I have the citation, I couldn't find it.
Oh, it's probably an informal opinion.
No, I know.
So you have to FOIA the ex-attorney general to get it.
Okay,
They don't publish the informal opinions
Okay.
online.
Okay.
We've asked them to.
I was like, I read it and I thought, I'm curious to read that, and I couldn't find it, so.
Counselor, I have a copy of it that I can share.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. May I just add to this? I received a call from the Deputy AG, Matt Goodman. I filed my request for review on October 16th, I think. And I had been denied access by the board president and by you to the verbatim recording at that time. In fact, on October 13th, I was denied access. So he called me up and he said, look, this is a very gray area of the OMA, and I'm overworked, and I'm going to have a very narrow decision on this. But he said, I would encourage you to go back and cite a specific section and demand access to the ad valorem closed session tape. I did that, and, and you cooperated, and I heard it. I hope that will set a precedent for all of us, that we don't have to go through this again. If you have someone who either misses a meeting or who is excluded from a meeting, that they have the opportunity to go back and hear that recording, because I think that's important. Secondly, he said to me, you know, you've got constitutional issues. And I knew I had constitutional issues. He said, unfortunately, the Open Meetings Act does not address constitutional issues. But I wanted to share this because I really appreciated the Deputy AG reaching out and calling and talking to me. And I think that's important for us all here.
I
Thank
hope
you.
he hears your appreciation. I think it's really interesting that you're sharing something that none of us have the ability to hear ourselves. So,
Well,
it's,
much like many things that have happened to me here in the last, since April 25th, 2024.
I disagree with your characterization, and
You
it's
certainly can
unfortunate.
reach out to Mr. Goodman. I think he's very approachable.
I think his ruling on this matter was dispositive and
Well, obviously
clear.
it was. I'm not arguing with this
Okay.
ruling. It's a narrow ruling.
I call it 3 for 3.
Right.
Yep.
So, Adam, how much time do you spend on these things?
When there's actually, when I have to file a brief with the Attorney General,
Yeah.
members of my office will spend several hours.
Right.
You know, reviewing the complaint, evaluating the history of opinions, and
The point is, it's not, it doesn't come without expense to this agency when we have these filed. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
The time we spend on it is all reflected in our invoice.
Yep, yep.
All right. Should we move on to section 8, Executive Director's Report?
As always, weekly status reports, golf course update, and legal expenses are included, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Anyone have questions on those items?
Yay
Very
golf.
clear.
Yay golf.
Yeah.
That was my.
What's that?
I said yay golf.
Yeah, great year,
Yeah.
great year.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move on to section 9, where we can have commissioner comments. Again, you'll be limited to 3 minutes, and you may not cede, transfer, or share with another commissioner your time. Would anyone like to start?
I'll
No?
start by saying no. I don't have any
Okay.
comments.
Anyone else?
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you. No? All right.
Oh, I have comment. When you disparage someone's character, the harm is done. The first disparagement occurred on April 25th of 2024, when I was ambushed with a censure. Had no opportunity for any sort of response, no opportunity to present my own evidence or to clarify that. The second ambush occurred on October 9th, when, without notice, I found that you were moving forward with an investigation. And again, once you do that, the disparagement of the person's character, it's done, the harm's done. And the report, the reason I wanted the recordings to be released was it would show the bias of the investigator. That's why I wanted you to see it, because it was very apparent there was nothing neutral there. With respect to her comment that she did not find me credible, it is my assumption that what has happened here is we have an employee who I think is probably an excellent employee, who I've never met, I've never had a conversation with, who mistook me for a member of our community. And so to clear this up, I'm going to reach out to that member of our community, and I'm going to ask them to come and talk about what they remember about the event, because they've offered to do this, and I think that perhaps might restore some of my credibility. But again, I hope this matter is over. I'm not sure it is. And if we are moving toward discipline, I did not move forward with any sort of response to that on April 25th, 2024. But this park district does not operate in a vacuum. And both state and federal constitution governs your actions also. And so I have been subject to viewpoint discrimination. I have been basically gagged. My rights to operate as a commissioner have been removed for a period of a year, which is one of the reasons I didn't even have a chance to develop a rapport with our new executive commissioner. So I'm going to ask you to carefully consider what you do moving forward. To say I have not learned is incorrect. Any time to say I've not learned is, and you can raise an eyebrow, because when you put someone through the process that I was put through since October 9th, there are legal ramifications to that individual, and the person has to be very, very careful in how they respond. And so on that note, I will also wish everyone a very, very happy holiday. I'll say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever. But thank you. Thank you for hearing me out.
So first of all, I would, I agree with you that you have to be careful about disparaging people's reputations, and that is actually the source, one of the sources of the complaint that was raised against you, because you were very disparaging about an inadvertent error. So it goes both ways. Let's just make that point. Secondly, I want to actually caution all commissioners against using Park District letterhead. And I specifically want to caution you against it. No commissioner here has the authority to use the Park District letterhead in any communications that they share with anyone on the board, anyone on staff, or any members of the community. That's the end of my comment.
And I will say one thing. The communication that I sent in September with respect to the failure to place language in the comprehensive master plan that had been board approved was sent solely to the executive director. It was not published. And so, and I do not feel that it was that harsh. It was not questioning anyone's integrity. It was simply asking that something happen. And that was that the language of the plan be revised, because the plan had been put in the consent agenda for approval during the September board meeting, and I had like several days to respond to that before the board meeting. At that time, the executive director was on holiday. So
Okay.
it was.
We're not on testimony right now. You've had your time for your commissioner
Well,
comment.
I realize you don't want to ever hear what I have to say,
It just goes on and on.
because it needs to be accurate.
It is accurate. Go ahead, Commissioner Rao.
Okay. I'm reflecting on an article from the IAPD publications that we receive about running an effective meeting. And one of the suggestions is ending on a positive note, so I'm going to attempt for what was not, for a meeting that had to cover some difficult issues, to just focus on some of the positive accomplishments. We have a budget approved that represented a lot of collective work from everyone in this room, without controversy or drama or surprises in the meeting. Yay, that's a good thing. We made some difficult decisions related to a project that we've been working on. We had some success in moving ahead with the Golf Advisory Committee, which was something that we had wanted to do and that we need to do for moving forward with some of our other organizational goals. So thank you for that. We've appointed commissioners to that. Everyone is thrilled with these new appointments.
Everyone.
Especially those not appointed. Right.
I mean, I'm thrilled with the fact that both of you are stepping up to lead the evaluation process.
Yep.
I'm happy that we spoke about that in open session for the first time, because I think that was positive and productive and beneficial before the IAPD conference to have covered that in open session in a positive and collaborative way. I feel like it was a huge win to accomplish the new Trier parking license agreement. So it's a small agreement, but it was a big step to get the agreement. So I just want to recognize that in a very positive way, and that we've had phenomenal progress in the year on the affiliate agreements. So thank you to Elisa for doing a lot of heavy lifting on that and having everything coming together for some of the affiliates. So I'm thankful for that, and there's our positive.
Thank you,
You know what, that's
Commissioner Rapp.
way too much positivity. I mean, that's just over the top.
Don't worry, we still have closed session to go into. We've got meeting
Way too
minutes
much.
to talk about.
I want more negative. Let's go.
All right.
And it's before 8 o'clock, Commissioner Seaman.
Most positive.
know.
Yeah.
All right, so, let's see where we are.
Thank you for saying all that.
Close session.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/2, paren C, paren 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/2, C, 21, semi-annual review of closed minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and that's a roll call vote. Saba?
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruth,
Yes.
Commissioner Koto,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
5 minutes.
Okay.
we have everyone?
Let's wait until Taylor is ready for us.
Oh, yeah. All right, may I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, great. Can we stop the tape and start a new recording?
Yeah, I already.
Oh, you did that, okay. All right, we're back in the regular meeting at, let's say, 8:47. And all commissioners present earlier are still in attendance, with the exception of Commissioner Kodo, who is now participating by remote. We're now moving to section 11.1, Executive Director Vacation Accrual Carryover. And I would like a motion to authorize the carryover of up to 200 hours of unused vacation in the contract year beginning February 1, 2026, and to authorize the carryover, or not the carryover, but the use of 27 hours in January of 2026, or through
By
January.
January 31st.
Yeah, through January 31st of 2026.
So that is a use it or lose it
Right.
of the 27.44 hours.
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Do we need any discussion on this? No? All right. Saba, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So,
All right.
just to clarify, for the contract year starting February 1st, the vacation time will be treated the same as the personnel policy manual.
With a 200-hour rollover. Yes.
That's the ceiling that Director Nizal's vacation bank will have, correct?
For the rollover, yep. All right. We're now moving on to section 11.2, semi-annual review of closed session minutes. May I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-12-18-02 regarding the release of closed session minutes for the October 9, 2025 meeting? Closed session meeting.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, and do we want any discussion on that? Saba?
All right. Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay. Now we're moving on to section 12, adjournment, and may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting at 8:50 PM?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.